There we go. And I know we still have some people who will be joining, and I will watch to make sure that they are admitted. And I would love to go ahead and get us started. I want to make sure we get through all the material. So I am going to turn it over to our very own Zeina. She's an active board member here with our Houston chapter, and we're super happy to have her leading this series. Although she's not here in the Houston area today, she can tell you a little bit about her travels. I'm going to turn it over to Zeina.
Hello, everyone. Hello again. I can see some faces who are here from last time. It's a pleasure to have you again. So I'm calling actually today from Lebanon. So if the internet goes away, please be mindful that I might disconnect and come back, because we have a very tough situation going on here in the Middle East. So the internet might cut off. So last time we went through did I ended the slideshow. Okay, sorry. Today we're going to go with the ICF credentialing procedure, and our focus is going to be on mentor coaching just a bit, and the educational requirements, and the examination procedure. Last time we discussed a brief overview of the ICF, and we talked about the different ICF credentials. Remember, the ACC, PCC, and the MCC, and we talked a bit on about the timeline for credentialing, and a bit of around the examination fees. So just a quick recap that there are different types of programs. We have the ACT program, the Accredited Coach Training Program, which is 125 hours. Sometimes it's longer. And this will include mentoring, coaching, and performance assessments, and a final exam. It will stop by the ICF by the end of 2023, and it will be replaced by what we call now the level 2 certification or accreditation. The approved coach specific training hours, the ACSTH, is a 30 hours or longer program, and it will also be stopped by the ICF at the end of 2023. It is basically going into the level 1 certification. And we have the CCE, continued coach education, which this is intended for those who are already credentialed and are seeking to continue their education. And there is the non-approved training, which are the course outlines, student manuals, workbooks, handouts, PowerPoints, slide decks, any documentation that would show the content and the context of the program. And as a recap also, we talked about having the accreditation of an ACC will need 100 hours, 75 of which should be paid. Of a PCC, 500 hours, 450 that should be paid. And for the MCC, 2,500 hours, of which 2,250 should be paid. And the hours count as of the start of the coaching education. The client types could be individual, could be group, could be team, could be internal coaching, and it could be third-party coaching. The paid coaching hours also are the hours for which the coach will receive payment from the client. And payment could be in any amount or any barter of goods or services, including coaching in exchange for coaching, what we call peer-to-peer coaching. And the documentation will be a client log where you enter the amount of hours or the total amount of hours of your, with an attestation of your coaching experience. And you can find the whole details on the website of the ICF. Now let's kick off with mentor coaching. So mentor coaching for an ICF credential consists of coaching and feedback in a very collaborative and a very appreciative process between the coach and the mentor. And it is based on an observed and a recorded coaching session to increase the coach's capability in his skills in alignment of the ICF core competencies. So the procedure will be, you will submit basically to your mentor a recorded session with your coaching. And according to the ICF core competencies, depending if you are applying for ACC, PCC, or MCC, you will be basically assessed and getting like a ranking on if you're able to pass or not. And the mentor will give you feedback and will tell you what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. And therefore you will go and then you will work on them some more and then tape another session. So in general, we have 10 hours that should be done of mentor coaching over a 3-month period of time or longer. 3 hours must be done one-on-one, and 7 hours remain and can be done as part of a group. And the mentor must be at least at your level or above the level to which you are applying. So if a mentor is an ACC, they must have renewed their ACC at least one time before they may offer mentor coaching. Now, there is also mentoring that happens. There's a mentor coaching degree that the mentor can go through, but it is not necessary. Please stop me at any time if you have any questions. The credentialing candidates on the following paths are required to participate in mentor coaching prior to submitting their application. We have the ACC, ACSTH, the ACC portfolio, the PCC level 1 ACSTH, the PCC portfolio, and the MCC. So at all levels, we are going to need mentor coaching. And it could be one-on-one, but at least are mandatory to be one-on-one, and 7 can be part of a group. Also, as part of the credentialing process, you will need what we call a performance evaluation. After we finish the mentoring, we have a recording that's called the performance evaluation recording. The applicants must pass this performance evaluation. For ACC applicants who have completed a level 1 or level 2 or an ACTP program, they are not required to submit a performance evaluation as part of the credentialing process. For PCC applicants who have completed a level 2 or an ACTP program, also are not required to submit the performance evaluation as part of the credentialing application. So the recorded session, as you discuss with your mentor, should be between 20 to 60 minutes. We usually like to see it between 30 and 59 minutes with an actual client. And it's really not advised to coach another coach or submit a performance evaluation with your client being another coach. An audio file will be accepted. And before recording a client, you must receive a written permission to use the recorded session for performance evaluation process. And when naming your files, ensure that you use only letters and numbers. Please be sure that there are no special characters in your document name. The transcript must be a Word document, and because you will be needing also a transcript for your recording. The speakers labeled and timestamps at every change of speaker. It should be precise. It should be in the language heard in the recording. If not in one of the accepted performance assessment languages, then English transcripts are also needed. Use of an interpreter here is not permitted. The performance assessment will be done after the review of the other sections of the application and when they are completed, and it is the longest part of the review. It depends if you are applying for ACC or PCC or MCC. For example, the ACC needs around 3 months, the PCC around 4 months, and the MCC around 6 months. So, and then we have the CKA exam. The CKA exam is administered by Pearson VUE. It is scenario-based, and it consists of 81 questions, and you have 3 hours to complete it. Now, there are different test languages for the CKA exam, the coach knowledge assessment. The English, Arabic, Chinese, French, Italian, Japanese, Russian, Spanish, Swedish, and Turkish. The duration of every section, so we have, the exam is usually 3 hours. For the first section, we have 41 items that take around 87 minutes. Then we have a 5-minute break, and then there's another section that has 40 items and it takes 85 minutes. The last week, the ICF is testing actually a new written exam for the ACC credential, keeping in mind that the fact that coaching students that are pursuing the ACC credential likely haven't encountered the same complex situation as more seasoned coaches. So for a limited time, ACC candidates can opt to take what we call the ACC pilot exam, and it uses knowledge-based questions instead of situational judgment questions that make up the ICF credentialing exam, the CKA. The ICF Credentials and Standards is recruiting 300 now participants for this pilot effort. And the ACC pilot exam will be available beginning of January 2024. If you are interested, you can log on to this to the website of the Coaching Federation, and you go to Credentials and Standards ACC pilot exam, and so you can be part of the people that are going to be taking the 300 participants that are going to be taking the pilot test. Do we have any questions so far? Or we're okay? We're fine?
Yeah, any questions, feel free to unmute or put them in chat. I'll make sure and highlight them, but feel free to speak up.
Okay. So as mentioned before, the exam is administered by the Pearson Review, and it happens either in one of their test centers or online with a proctor, someone who will be watching you through a webcam while you take the test at home. Once you have selected your exam date, it is important to immediately download and test the program that will be used for the exam. It is recommended to perform a trial run 24 hours prior to the exam, And on the day of the exam, you will have a 30-minute buffer period before the exam begins to perform further testing and take photos of your environment and identification documents. Now, to avoid any issues with the strict proctor, it is best to take the exam in a very quiet and private space. And it's very important to remain silent throughout the duration of the exam. This is a format of the exam questions. For each scenario, you will be presented with 4 possible answers. You will have to select the best action and the worst action among the options provided for that scenario. There is only one correct best action and one correct worst action for each coaching scenario. Although more than one response sometimes may represent a reasonable response to the scenario presented, the candidates will receive credit only for selecting the best possible action or the worst possible action. Also, this slide is just for you to know that you can flag a question to come back to it in case you missed a question. It will show as incomplete at the end. So what do we consider when choosing best or worst? We have to answer, is the question client or coach centered? Is the question curious or leading? Is the question showing coach giving advice or referring? Are there any ethical issues? Are there any assumptions or biased judgments? Is there consulting, coaching versus therapy? All of these are things to look at. Some of the good indicators of the questions, did the coach pause or left space for silence? Did the coach acknowledge the feelings? Did the coach ask and dig enough in the words and clues? Did the coach reflect and explain what he understood? Are some good indicators in the scenarios. Some of the bad indicators, as we all know, praising, labeling emotions or situations, giving help, asking close-ended questions a lot, asking a lot of why questions, and changing the direction of the session, and definitely ethical issues. Always keep in mind that the credentialing exam covers a wide range of ethical issues, including, first, confidentiality. They will ask you a lot of questions on confidentiality. So the coaches have a duty to maintain the confidentiality of their clients' information. They have a lot of questions on conflicts of interest, and coaches must avoid conflicts of interest. This means that they should not enter into any business or any personal relationship with their clients that could potentially compromise their professional judgment. Also, dual relationships. Coaches should not engage in dual relationships with their clients. This means that they should not provide coaching services to clients who are also friends, family members, or colleagues. Professional competence also is another ethical thing to look at. Coaches must maintain their professional competence, and this includes staying up to date with the latest coaching research and best practices. Looking always at the agreement. Also, the credentialing exam looks at the content of the coaching agreement that you have, the contract that you have between the coach and the client, the outlines, the terms of the coaching relationship. The coaching agreement should include some information, the scope of work, what the coach and the client will work on together, the duration of the coaching relationship, how long the coaching relationship, so on and so forth. where in the coaching container the coaching conversation can take place at any point in the coaching container also. Beginning, middle, and in the end. For example, at the beginning of the coaching container, the coach should focus on building the rapport with the client and learning about their goals. The coach should avoid engaging in any conversations that could be considered unethical, like giving advice or sharing their own personal stories, so on and so forth. The more curious and open the answer is about the coachee, not about the coach, the better it is. Avoid going into the solution or strategies too quickly. Avoid parental or giving advice or cheerleading, and being open, curious, and flexible about the who and not just the what. So I have here a couple of examples for you.
We have a couple questions before, if we could pause here real quick.
Yes, of course.
Okay, so Christina is wondering, wants to confirm again that the previous hours that she used for ACC, 77 hours that she used for those will still be available for PCC. So as long as she had the 77 hours, can she use those same education hours for PCC?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. They will amount to her 125 hours for the PCC.
Yeah.
So they are part of the 125 hours for the PCC.
They are part of it. Yes. Very good. Okay. And then she was wondering if there are any free resources to prepare for the exam, the PCC credentialing exam.
There's no PCC credentialing exam. There's the CKA exam. So there is so what they're doing now, they didn't do it yet. But for now, the ACC, the PCC, and the MCC, they all have the same CKA, the Coach Knowledge Assessment. This is why they're doing the pilot in January that I mentioned, because I think mid-2024, they're going to have one for the ACC, one for the PCC, and one for the MCC. So there are some references on the website for the ICF, for the CKA exam, for all the exams, the ACC, PCC, and the MCC. Yes, and I have a couple of questions here that are basically, they simulate the exam.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. So let's play a bit. So this is a question. A coach is meeting with a prospective client who is growing a new business. The coach and the potential client quickly establish an easy connection. The coach is excited about the opportunity to work with the client. As the coach and client are ending their conversation, the prospective client briefly mentions the name of their new business. The coach recognizes the business as the coach is an investor in a more established competitor business in the same community. What should the coach do? Not say anything, try to keep their role as an investor in a competing business separate from their role as a coach. Share that the business name sounds familiar and make a mental note to determine whether it is a competitor business later than that evening. Share their role as investor in the competitor business only if the potential clients follow up to pursue coaching with the coach. Share their role as an investor in a competing business and acknowledge the possibility of a conflict of interest with the client. What are your thoughts? Let me see the chat. D. Yes, it is D. So this is an ethical question, for example. And there's a lot of those in the CKA exam. Another question, a client struggles with delegating tasks at work to other team members. During the last session, the client shared that an important project they are leading is falling behind schedule. The coach supported the client in identifying strategies to delegate tasks to other team members. At the next session, the client reports back and shares, in the end, I decided to complete all tasks myself. That was the only way to get them done on time. The coach feels disappointment that the client did not follow through on their plans to delegate. What should the coach do? Immediately reflect back on their last session with the client and identify what they could have done differently to support the client in following through on their plans. Take a breath and acknowledge that the client is responsible for their own choice of whether to follow through with their stated plans or not. Set aside their disappointment for now and focus on the current session with the client. Decide to reflect on this situation during an upcoming session with the mentor coach. Praise the client for meeting the project deadlines, but ask why the client failed to support their team members' development. Any thoughts? It is take a breath and acknowledge that the client is responsible for their own choice. So basically, these are the type of questions that you will get. With the CKA. Now, there's a whole list that you can see, and I think Robin did put it on our chat group. So for the credentialing renewal, it's every 3 years. The ICF members renewal is $175 US dollars, and non-members is $275 US dollars. The renewal requirements for ACC would be 40 hours of continuing coach education in 3 years. Of the 40 hours, 24 hours, 24 CCEs must be in core competencies. So at least 3 of these hours must be in coaching ethics. The coaches can obtain coaching ethics hours by completing the ICF's complementary ethics course online. And 10 hours of mentor coaching with an eligible mentor coach over a minimum of at least 3 months in the 3 years that since the initial award of your credential, since your last credential renewal. And the remaining 16 hours can be in resource development, and or if you want, also core competencies. Here are some resources that you have for from the ICF, for the ICF Code of Ethics, for individual credentialing, for any training program search service, and for credentialed coach finder. And with this, I conclude basically what I have for today and open the floor for questions.
We did get one question. When does the worst answer come into play in the exam?
When does the worst? It's as Hiba said, the worst answers were the ones circled in red. You have in each question to choose the best and the worst as far as I know.
So for the example questions you shared, you have the 4 responses. From those, you would pick the best, and then you would also pick the worst.
Yes, you can do both, but yes, this is up till, so we have to understand that there's a lot of changes going on. Up to now, yes, till the end of 2023, yes.
I'll say, if I may interject, that was my question. So for the questions that you showed to us, you would have two possible answers that you could complete, enter, the best and the worst. But starting in 2024, they're knowledge-based questions. So you're going to be limited to one. Is that correct? As a response?
I cannot answer that. For now, I can tell you yes, but they will change after they do the pilot in 2024. And we don't know up till now. And they might not change. I don't know. So what happened with the CKA is that they initiated a new CKA in June 2023. And actually, no, last year in June 2022. And it was very difficult. So what happened, many coaches were failing the exam. So they had to go back and revisit what they were doing. And this is why this whole thing is happening now. And they're doing another. So the questions were very difficult. So many actually mentor coaches and many educators like myself were contesting the exam because their students were not passing. And this is why this is happening.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Christina, sorry, I missed your question earlier. Is it possible to start the PCC certification process, not submit, while still working towards the 500 hours? I would like to initiate my PCC certification application so I can begin to complete the steps, work with my mentor coach, and then click submit when I hit the 500 hours.
As a mentor coach myself, I would say don't do that. Those mentoring hours are very important to be taken over a period of time, not at least 3 to 6 months. So if you want to start the application process 6 months before, that's fine. But and if it's just because for organization, if I'm hearing well, it's for organization purposes, that's fine. But in the mentoring, a lot of things shift. So make sure you have at least completed all your academic hours and at least 400 of your coaching hours before you start. That's my recommendation as a mentor. I have here somebody's asking, what is the passing grade as far as points? I think 80%, 80 over 100. Any other questions?
I see a question about the slides, if you would be willing to share those.
Of course.
Okay,
sure.
we can do that.
I will send them. Definitely, I can send those slides, but you can have you have all the material on the ICF. I have a few of my own slides, but of course I'm willing to share.
Okay, we'll get that sent out with the recording.
Yes. Is there education hours are complete? I have already engaged my mentor course. It's just about efficiency. Okay, so it's organization. Yeah. Okay, that works. How can I get a copy of session 1? I think Robin,
Yes.
we do have the recording of session 1. So I think Joyce is asking for it.
Okay, Joyce, we'll make sure you get it. I think it was sent out as a follow-up, but we also plan to make these available. We'll probably break it down by session or by section, so we can separate them out so you don't have to listen to the whole hour, but kind of pick and choose what you want. We're working on that behind the scenes to get that on the website. So yes, more to come on those, but I can get you the recording for now. And I see Nathan has a question.
Yes, Nathan.
Yeah, so I took that exam last week and I think it's up to 600 and you have to get at least a 460. I don't know how they're all done, but I was just reading the synopsis that I got when I passed, that it's kind of a weird, I didn't really get the scoring, but I know that I got over the limit, but it was out of 460 or something like that. So
Yeah,
maybe that helps.
it's a weird kind of scoring.
Hmm.
460 is to pass. The 460 is to pass. But I don't know how they score it, actually. I don't know. That's why I said around 80 to 100%. So I have a question. Is there a recency requirement for the education hours? So Christina, if I understand well, what you're saying is if you have taken academic hours before, is this what you mean? Because I don't understand the question. Christina?
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry. I'm at my kid's swim lesson, so I can't take myself off of I can't
No
turn my
worries.
video on or take myself off of mute. But if you read what I wrote beneath that, I wrote the reason why I asked is because my ACC renewal would normally happen by the end of 2024, but instead
Mhm.
I'll be applying for my PCC credential. So do I need to show evidence of 40 hours of CCEUs since last ACC renewal when I apply for my PCC in lieu of my ACC renewal? Hopefully that makes sense.
No, you don't have to, because already you are going to have more academic hours. So you do have academic hours that are building up to 125 hours for your PCC. That will ensue automatically the 40 hours. I hope this makes sense. So you don't need those.
Yes, no, it makes sense. It's just that I'm planning to use my level 1 77 hours, for which I used also to achieve my ACC, and that was from 10 years ago. And then I'm planning to use these other 2 courses that I took where I earned 24 CCUs in each course. So I was going to use those, and those are more recent, but I just wanted to make sure that there was no education requirement that said that some of those hours had to have occurred in the last 3 years.
Not to my knowledge. I would check in with your mentor coach to see, especially from which school you have graduated from, specifically for your level 1
Yeah,
certificate.
Coach U. I graduated from Coach U.
Yeah, I think that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Joyce?
Yeah, so hearing about the recency requirement on the education, I took my training through Coach Rice here in Houston, Rice University, in 2019 was when I took that, or actually 2018, sorry. 2018 is what's on there. I think that's actually inaccurate, but it says 2018. So would I have had to apply for my ACC within 3 years to do that? Does that mean that all that coaching, credentialing that I got through Coach Rice doesn't count?
No, of course not. It does count.
Okay.
Of course.
Okay,
No,
I
of
just want to make
course.
sure. I want to
No,
make sure I didn't have to take that all over again. I was like, what?
You
Okay.
mean for your ACC, what you did, the academic hours you have done through Rice University?
I have the academic hours. I have the mentor coaching hours. I just have never applied for the ACC. COVID happened and
I
life happened,
think
and so.
Yeah, I think you need to do 3 mentor coaching hours, just as a, if I'm not mistaken. So
I've already
also,
done that though. I did the mentor coaching also
but
through
when?
Coach Rice
But
in
when?
2018.
That is why I'm telling you, you need to ask about that question specifically, because our recommendation, as usually when we are mentoring, is that whenever we are mentoring, we mentor 3 to 6 months before the application for their ACC. So talk to your mentor coach when you the one that you have done your mentoring with. They would know for sure.
Okay. I can do that. I still have her contact
Yeah.
information. Okay. All right. Well, that's good information. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. And if I at this point have 500 hours, can I skip the credentialing? Sorry,
Yes.
can I skip the ACC and go straight to PCC as long
If
as
you
I have
have
all
the
the training?
if you have the academic hours, yes.
Okay. All right. Thank
So
you.
you go, but then you will do the mentoring hours, the 10 mentoring hours again for your PCC. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we mentor at the PCC level, it's different than when we mentor at an ACC level.
Gotcha. Okay,
We
good to
follow
know.
the
Thank you.
we follow the PCC markers. This is why.
Okay. All right. So, and if we want to go ahead and go through the pilot, we can sign up for that to help you guys out and
Yes.
help us out. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Any other concerns, observations, questions? Okay. All right. So it has been a pleasure being with you. I have another question for, we have another session that is coming up in December. It's going to be all a Q&A question. By a show of hands, or is this something that you would like to see? Or Robin, shall we send it to all of our, as a survey to all of our members, or what?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to know, would it be helpful to have another session? Do you feel like your questions are answered? I can reach out to the others when we do when we send out the recording link. But as far as those of you who are here today, is there more information that you need? Have you had your questions answered? Would it be helpful to have a third session?
For myself, I think that it certainly could come up as we're processing what we're doing now and reviewing the 2 previous videos. I would be interested if I were available to be invited to that third session.
And
Christina
I
said she's
would
already-
agree the same. Oh,
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I would agree the same, because now I have enough information that I can go back and look at where I am in the process, and more questions could potentially pop up.
Yeah.
Christina, good luck. You're going to your
Yes.
PCC. Good luck.
Exciting. So I could also, part of when I send the recording, I could put maybe a little questionnaire on it and ask what specific questions people still have, so we could be prepared for those.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you
All
so
right.
much for being here. And Zeina, thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you all in the future.
All right. Thank y'all. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.